This stuff be bussin'.
For real,
The way you said that
For real,
was
for
like
real.
so millennial. Just you can hear it in your voice. This stuff be busted.
Well, I can't say the word that they actually say.
Yeah.
Yo, this stuff be bussin'. That's my favorite way of saying that, though, is without any enthusiasm. I say that to my actual, like, the kids I work with. When they're like, yo, check this out. And I'm like, wow, that's bussin'. They always get a laugh out of it. They're like, stop mocking my generation. I'm like, no. Y'all weird. I refuse.
We said what's up and holla, and I don't know what else, honestly.
Is that what we said?
Dude.
Cool. Cool a lot. Awesome.
We did say cool a lot. Swag. Well, swag was like high school, right? Like, didn't that kind of happen while we were in high school? Swag,
yeah.
Soldier boy. No, you said it wrong though. It was swag.
No, I don't remember having to say it any particular way. I do remember going to college and then finding out that swagging was actually a like there's a type of machine that makes, you know how like tubes are made with a little floaty dowel thing. That process is called swagging.
Oh man, there's professional swaggers.
Yeah,
it's like it.
I have it. It's in. I think I still have that textbook too. Right. So I literally have the book on swag.
What about drip? Did we have drip, or was that after us?
I think drip was after us.
Oh man, the drip that wasn't even more than like 5-6 years ago. I feel.
Yeah.
The drip is fresh.
I'm too old,
bro.
Fresh is probably a closer word.
Yeah, fresh has been around for a minute. Fresh is like a 90s term.
That's fresh.
Yo, that's fresh to death, bro.
Catch you later, man.
Welcome to the A4NB4Y podcast, the Legend of Zelda themed podcast where we go chapter by chapter through the game. Currently diving into Breath of the Wild. This is our finale episode. And as such, I am Ryan Fonzie, a ancient motorcycle.
I'm co-host Cameron Haggy, and I'm a vitamin.
A vitamin, bro.
I'm a vitamin.
And my name is Anthony, and I'm mad steezy, bruh.
Whoa.
All right. Yeah. Bring the steez, my guy. Oh my goodness, guys, we made it to the end. This is our finale, our final. This is the last of an 18-episode run of Breath of the Wild.
The final frontier.
Just barely made it, my guys. Honestly, I finished this game like a few weeks ago because I wanted to give some space before Tears of the Kingdom. So I'm not up to date on the exact play-by-play, but lucky for us, this is not a long section of the game. The finale's pretty quick. It goes fast, it goes hard.
And then it's done.
It's epic. What'd you guys do to prep for this? Can I ask you that? Like any final preparation that you did before you went into the castle town or straight to the castle?
Yeah. I got my amiibo armors looking mad defensive. Okay. I visited the Great Fairies and pumped them up a few levels. The one armor that I did use required star fragments, so that was luckily I had 2 already, but That was kind of scary. When I saw that, my heart dropped, and I was like, I really want to wear this armor, but I don't know if I have star fragments. But yeah, I got my armor upgraded for sure, and my inventory was already looking kind of nice, because the amiibos.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely was rocking pretty much at least the armor I wanted to use. It was full on upgraded, so I had to make sure. Like, I was like, I don't want to test Master Quest Ganon.
Sure, I get that. Yeah, Master Quest Ganon's got to be like real rough, right? I mean, I hit him pretty constantly, so I don't think he'd be getting health back. But I'm wondering how much like more constant he is. Like, is he more aggressive in Master Quest?
No, it's the same move pool. It's just the health back thing.
Gotcha.
That's it.
My preparation was booting up a game I haven't touched in 1.5 to 2 years and teleporting right to the castle.
Went right to a different save file.
Yep.
Oh goodness. I went into the castle town with sneak gear. But when I got towards the end, I think I swapped back out to like the Tunic of the Wild just to try to do it with style. It didn't really work out. I think I ended up finishing the fight wearing something different. So I might have even switched out before I got there. But I think my intent was I wanted this to all look appropriate. And then I ran into some stuff in the castle that I had to like, I was like, this isn't practical. I need to switch back to something more realistic. Took a detour out to make some hearty foods. And I spent whatever I could to get more ancient arrows from the ancient tech lab up in Akala. So I went in there with like 50 some odd ancient arrows just on deck.
I forgot to do that.
Forgot that I had them until like the last stretch though. Like I was just sneaking through, not using them. And then I was like, you know what? I made all these arrows specifically for this purpose. I think what I did is I went into like the central square, like the castle town, right? And I was using them. I was using all the ancient arrows. I wanted to clear out the town so I could like just explore that space because I've never walked around all those buildings before. But then once I got like past the castle wall, like the main entrance there, after that, once I was in the castle, I forgot to use them until the end. Where I was just getting harassed by guardians on that last stretch. I was like, you know what? You're all getting zapped. Game over. What path did you guys take in? Like, which way did you guys go? Did you sneak in from the moat, or did you actually go through Castletown?
I went through a part of it. So I teleported to a shrine that was very close to it, that was like just to the bottom or just to the southwest of the floating castle. Ran up on the black, like, what are those giant things that are shooting up over the castle?
The calamity
spikes. What would you call those? Yeah, the giant calamity spikes. I got as far up on one as I could and used Rivali's Gale to get across and then run inside. And ran throughout the castle a little bit. I ended up finding 3 ancient arrows in a chest behind a bombable wall, as well as a royal claymore, an edge of duality, some bows that I didn't want. I also found 5 bomb arrows when I didn't go there with any in my inventory, so that was nice. And then after that, I found an area to run out, going up and out. I think I was in like the guards room at one point, was one of the rooms I was in.
And that general area. Pretty cool. Sorry, especially if you have the DLC. Go ahead.
And then I ran up a spiral staircase leading from there down a couple hallways, and then went up a waterfall, and then used Rivali's Gale to get up another mountain level after that. I was able to just run right into the castle from there and fight the boss.
Nice. Yeah, Rivali's Gale was used quite a bit to just kind of avoid climbing too much. Especially if you're in sight of the guardian turrets, climbing's just real rough.
Mm-hmm.
One thing, I mean, just you mentioned it, the guards chamber, the guards house, like that whole deal. I think it's called the guards chamber. Really cool. So they have like their own little training room in there. Mm-hmm. With I think there's some like Zalfos and Moblins up in that room, and you can get some really nice gear. I also found the like the Hyrule Knight, that's like DLC armor. I found, I think, the pants in that room, but I didn't find any of the other pieces. I don't remember. I really wanted to find the hat because the hat's pretty dope. It's got like the side beret thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't find that. I think it's somewhere else in the castle. I just never got around to finding all the pieces. But when I found the when I found the pants, I was like, "Oh, this is here now because of DLC." And then I never found any of the pieces. I was like, well, "That's disappointing."
I found the chess piece in I think it was the gatehouse. I don't remember which gatehouse, but it was one of the gatehouses. I found the chess piece, but I didn't find what you found. So now I know.
There's two gatehouses.
From
what I remember. And this was the first time I went through them, and I was very surprised by what I found, and also very pleased by what I found, because it's actually really cool. I don't know if you guys want to talk about that now or
what?
The gatehouses. So let me go back. The first time I ever played this game, right?
Didn't do them.
I didn't do the gatehouses. I didn't. I think I went in through. I don't know if I came in through the docks. There's like a underground like pool you can kind of swim into and come in from the underground, work your way through the castle, and kind of make your way up to Ganon that way. And that's what I did. I think you come up, you end up in the library at some point, and you can escape out of the roof of the library, climb up, and get right to Ganon. And that's what I did my first playthrough. This playthrough, I wanted to see more. So what I did is I literally just went right through the front door and followed the path up around the whole castle. Oddly enough, the one place that doesn't take you is the docks. Like that's a super detour that you don't need to take. I did finish the shrine in there, but I did that a long time ago as well. So I think it's just like a major test of strength or something coming off the docks. But if you follow the main path, it's actually a really cool little final gauntlet that you get to run. If you just follow up the path up, you come around like a big cliff. There's guardians everywhere, but you go into that first gatehouse and it traps you inside with a Lionel. Like all the doors close and lock, and then a Lionel comes out, and I think there might even be the Lionel in there just waiting already. But so it's like a mini room Lionel fight. And same for the second gatehouse, but that's like kind of later on, closer to the top. So I think after I fought them, I must not have explored them very well. I think I was just too excited to keep it going. Because I missed that chess piece that you're talking about, Ant. But it was very cool. Like I thought it was all just guardians and whatever moblins and Lysalfos are inside. But that's not true. There's actually Lionels in the castle as well, which it was pretty epic.
A hard thing for me was I found refuge with the Guardians because to me they were so much easier than the golden people that are inside the castle and around the castle. Oh goodness. It was really tough. Like I died, I think, more from these guys than any other time in the game.
Yeah.
Hands down.
They were literally gold Lionels in both of the watchtowers.
Well, I didn't go in the one watchtower, but I went in the second one, I think. That's because my path was straight through to the right. And then I went around up the castle that way. Because the first time I beat the game, I went straight through the docks. Because I was like, this looks safe.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you get to the right side, especially once you get past the second gatehouse, there's this little part of the castle. There's two or three golden moblins. I don't remember how many there were, but it was in this room with tables.
Yeah, they have a dining hall up there.
Yeah.
It's got it's got food on the tables and stuff, and I think there's a fire pit in there you can cook as well. So It's cool. It's cool, like little world building set piece there.
I found a different, totally random little cooking station that I cooked up all my bananas into 2 super attack boosting foods.
Nice.
Take them down.
Yeah, if you follow the path that's presented at the front gate, it'll take you clockwise. Like you'll go basically starting at 6, you'll wrap around the whole castle. You'll go inside maybe twice, once through like a cave type area, once through the library. And then on that last stretch, there is a that dining hall, and that's right before the second gatehouse if you're still following the path. And then it's pretty much just Guardian Central until you get to the main entrance. So a few other things to note. There is in the library, you can find the King's Study, which is like King Rome's secret room. It's hidden behind a magnet wall. Have either guys seen this? He's got like a little nook under the stairs, basically. It's cool. It's I actually pulled it up because he has a journal. Like you can go in there. There's like 300 rupees or something in one of the chests. And then he has a journal sitting out. Yeah, there's a couple of Easter eggs because there's that, and then if you guys remember one of the memories where Zelda also has a study in the castle, she has a journal as well. And then if you take that same bridge to get to her study back the other way, you can get into Zelda's room, and like see what her living quarters used to look like. It's interesting. It's the first time I ever saw her room. I didn't know that was there until this playthrough. But the journals and stuff are pretty cool. It's one of like the only like lore based Easter eggs in the final castle, but it's cool because it does expand on their relationship. Both of them kind of talk about each other a bit. So if you don't mind, they're long, but we don't really have a ton more to talk about this episode, so I was just gonna outright read them, if that's cool with y'all.
Story time with Fawn.
Story time. So King Rome's journal found in the library here. It says, "Today, as the sun rose and a new day was born, my daughter too joined this sweet world. In keeping with the traditions of the royal family, I have decided to name her Zelda. I am not a man accustomed to frivolous musings, but now seems as good a time as any to begin my royal memorandum." And of course, that's what this is. Page 2. "Reports keep arriving regarding the excavation of relics. The fortune teller's predictions seem to be coming true." So a little bit there. There's a fortune teller, apparently, that predicted a bunch of this stuff. Who knows? Maybe we'll see that in Tears of the Kingdom. Probably not, but who knows? "Calamity Ganon was not a figure of fable or even a legend. He actually existed in our great land of Hyrule. We must investigate all the relics, learn as much as we can, but understanding the divine beasts alone will take time." Zelda's eyes lit up like wildfire when I told her about the relics. I must admit, she has a knack for research. Which already, I'm like, where was this? Like, where was this king in the memories? Because this guy's like, we need to know everything we can about these relics. Zelda has a knack for research, and then later he's like knocking her for wanting to research. All right, page 3. "My queen has left this world. Her death was so sudden and unexpected. I awaken most nights unsure if she really is gone. Zelda never cried, never faltered, not even during the royal funeral or later when she and I were alone with our grief. I must assume her strength is a result of us repeatedly informing her of her duty to be a valiant and steady princess. For a child of merely 6 years of age, her conduct was truly that of a born leader. Her strength gives me hope. From now on, I must raise her all alone. Now only I remain to prepare her for her difficult future as Princess of Hyrule." That kind of lines right up with what Urbosa was saying in her diary about the funeral. How Zelda was like super together through the whole thing somehow, even though she was only 6 at the time. So a little more into that. Page 4, right? "Zelda finally reported back after her visit to the fountain. It seems her sacred sealing power has still yet to awaken. It has been a year and 3 months since her mother passed. Perhaps she is held back by heartache too deep to heal. If the Ganon prophecy wasn't looming over our heads, I would tell her to take her time, to wait until she is ready. But our situation is dire and leaves no room for weakness, even on behalf of my beloved daughter. My heart breaks for Zelda, but I must act as a king, not a father. I must order her to train relentlessly at the fountain. Which again, we get Urbosa's perspective of that, because that lines right up with the time frame that she mentioned where she went and saw Zelda and she was like, just could not stop praying at the fountain like she was doing her training. So see, that relationship goes way back. Been going on for at least a decade before we see it in the game, you know? Sorry, Anthony, what were you saying?
No, I was going to say, it kind of gives a little bit more insight into the king. Basically, instead of being a jerk, it kind of looks more along the lines of he's fearful, and that fear of the Ganon prophecy looming over his head is just making him out to be this man that he's not truly, deep down, but it's just that's what came out.
Yeah, I mean, he's for sure in a bad spot, and it's causing him to it's causing a lot of harm to his relationship with Zelda. Like, he's really pushing her way harder than he even wants to. Because yeah, he's afraid of what's coming. He feels like it's his job to protect Hyrule as king. And that pressure he's directly putting right onto Zelda as well. Page 5. I was told Zelda went off to research ancient technology, so I had no choice but to confront her about it. This is one of the memories that we watched. She claimed she was simply using her day off from training to indulge in a bit of research, but I still scolded her. She won't get it through her head, forcing me to tell her the same thing I have been repeating ad nauseum. The reason her sacred powers still won't awaken is because she's spending all her efforts playing at being a scholar. I hate that phrase, playing at being a scholar. It's so disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh. Sorry, there's like some... I don't know. There's some messaging going on in this, but yeah, it's really hard whenever that comes up. Because I think Zelda literally writes the same thing in her diary too, like that same phrase. Like, this is what he said. It's such a key phrase to like their relationship, and it's really sad that that's the case. Page 6. In truth, I understand Zelda's feelings, painfully so. She lost her mother, her teacher, before she could learn from her. 10 pointless years of self-training without so much as a book or note to help her find her way. Those in the castle talk behind her back, and I, her only family, scold her for her shortcomings. No wonder she wishes to hide away in her beloved relic research. I'd love nothing more than to console her. But I must stay strong. She must fulfill her duty, just as we all must, even if she comes to despise me.
Look, comes a point, like, as a parent, you can do both. You can be a dad and a king. Come on now. You don't have to, it's not the light side, the dark side. You can be both.
Yeah. This is, I mean, it's rough when he straight up says like 10 pointless years of self-training, like without any kind of help. Like, she's trying to do this all on her own. And I'm like, yeah, if only she had a dad who could like step in and try anything other than what he's doing. I don't know. It is a it's hard to read even sometimes and just feel like this guy's just not, like, it's like there's so many better ways to do this. Like, who did you talk to? Like, you should have gotten some advice or something. I don't know. It's rough.
Yeah, he's a pretty bad dad.
Page 7. This is the last page of the diary, or the journal diary. It's a journal. If it's a dude, normally it's a journal.
It's a journery.
I don't know why. I have been told my Zelda went to the Spring of Wisdom. This will likely be her last chance. If she is unable to awaken her power at Lanayru, all hope is truly lost. So this is like the day of, right?
Yeah.
If she comes back without success, then I shall speak kindly with her. Scolding is pointless now. I forced 10 years of training on her, and after all that, it seems her power will stubbornly awaken some other way. Perhaps I should encourage her to keep researching her beloved relics. They may just lead her to answers I can't provide. For now, I sit anxiously, more than a father than a king in this moment. I sit and await my daughter's return. So this is like exactly what we've been talking about, like with what he needed to do. And it's like a day too late. It's jacked up. But I mean, after 10 years of being that forceful and being that like hard on her, I don't know that he'd be able to fix it when she got back and just be like, you know what, it's okay.
Not like, in one day, that's for sure.
Like, how are you gonna? I can only imagine how Zelda would have felt. Like, I wonder if she would have been comforted by that, or if she just would have been like, "Are you kidding me? Like, what do you mean it's okay? 10 years of this, you know?" But of course, part of the tragedy of this game is that they never had that conversation. They immediately went to war the second Zelda came back down off the mountain and lost that war. So
convincingly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw a Zelda theory out here real quick before we move on.
Yeah.
And just kind of go out there and say, you know, what if the king actually from day one was just super supportive and just let her continue her research? And she would have had the help with top Sheikah researchers. I feel like if, 10 years young, they could have started doing this research. Who knows what strides they could have made to like unlocking the shrines, possibly involving Link and like preemptively having a plan that way with some more power at their hands versus obviously how it went down.
Sure.
It's like it's all King Rome's fault, man.
the entire war and the way it went down was all King Rome's fault.
It could also be a retcon to the game itself, because if they made all that stuff more powerful and then Ganon was still able to just go and touch it with his nasty corruption stuff and turn it into his pawn anyways, then they would have been up against even more.
Yeah.
It seems like those things had no resistance to Ganon's corruption for the most part. So unless they unlocked specifically the ability to get past that corruption they hadn't seen in thousands of years, I feel like they would have just been building up the force that would be pushed against them. Well, so then Link might not even have survived in that case, and the game wouldn't have happened. Is another way that could have played out.
The shrines themselves, like if they figured it out, Link or Zelda was kind of already there, but not really. But she was close, figuring out the shrines and like Link's connection to them.
Yeah,
he could have gotten stronger. Maybe that was just my thinking.
I find Fierce Deity Mask at the bottom of like the hidden shrine.
I got the power.
The way that the journal describes it, he's like, maybe her research could have led her to answers that, I couldn't provide. It's almost, it calls back to where he said that she's been working for 10 years without even a book to help her, So part of me wonders, like, if they had kept researching, would they have eventually found Sheikah tech or like database information or something that would have like been that book that she needed, like something to basically say, hey, this is how Hylia helped us before, and this is what you need to do, and this is, like maybe there was some kind of instruction that was better than just, I'm just gonna pray for hours on end. Because it really seems like Hylia is not all that responsive to prayer, to be honest. Yeah, it's like one of those things where she was trying to do research, and that research might have just, like, it might have been exactly what she needed to be doing, but because there was this weird tradition and this misunderstanding and this just ignorance, frankly, she was kind of pigeonholed into doing the wrong thing. And it, yeah, I mean, you could say that's really the starting domino that kind of brought down the kingdom, but yeah, I don't know. It's pretty tragic. Do you guys want to go over Zelda's diary as well?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Let me find where it actually writes it out, because apparently the location and uses are here. Okay, here we go. Page 1. After meeting with the champions, I left to research the ancient technology, but nothing of note came of my research. The return of Ganon looms, a dark force taunting us from afar. I must learn all I can about the relics so that we can stop him. If the fortune teller's prophecy is to be believed, there isn't much time left. Sorry, I got distracted. There was some weird punctuation here. There isn't much time left. But turning over these thoughts in my head puts me ill at ease. I suppose I should turn in for the night. P.S. Tomorrow my father is assigning him as my appointed knight. Alright, so this is
him.
Yeah. So I guess this is after she went around and like invited all the champions to be the champions. Because I think the inauguration is when all that kind of happened all together. Page 2. I set out for Goron City today to make some adjustments to Divine Beast Vah Rudania. I still recall feeling his eyes on me as I walked ahead. The feeling stayed with me so long I grew anxious and weary. It is the same feeling I felt before in his company, and still not a word passes his lips. I never know what he's thinking. It makes my imagination run wild, guessing at what he is thinking but will not say. What does the boy chosen by the sword that seals the darkness think of me? Will I ever truly know? Then I suppose it's simple. A daughter of Hyrule's royal family, yet unable to use sealing magic. He must despise me. So, some assumptions immediately. But what else does she have than assumptions? He won't talk, apparently. Alright. Page 3.
Canonical.
I said something awful to him today. My research was going nowhere. I was feeling depressed, and I had told him repeatedly not to accompany me. But he did anyway, as he always does, and so I yelled at him without restraint. He seemed confused by my anger. I feel terribly guilty, and that guilt only makes me more agitated than I was before. I know that you say Link doesn't say anything is canonical. It's actually a part of the plot in this game, though. They give reasons for that. It's not because he's mute. It's because he's just becoming way more internal because of all the struggle that he himself is going through. Not that that's healthy, but that's what he did. Page 4. I'm unsure how to put today's events into words. Words so often evade me lately, and now more than ever. He saved me. Without a thought for his own life, he protected me from the ruthless blades of the Yiga clan. So this is yet again another memory that we've seen. Though I've been cold to him all this time, taking my selfish and childish anger out on him at every turn. Still, he was there for me. I won't ever forget that. Tomorrow I shall apologize for all that has transpired between us, and then I will try talking to him. To Link, it's worth a shot. So I'll try talking to him. To Link, it's worth a shot. Sorry. So some of these commas and periods look the same on this website that I'm reading. So that's why my rhythm gets off a bit. Page 5. Bit by bit, I've gotten Link to open up to me. It turns out he's quite a glutton. He can't resist a delicious meal. When I finally got around to asking why he's so quiet all the time, I could tell it was difficult for him to say, but he did. With so much at stake and so many eyes upon him, he feels it necessary to stay strong and to silently bear any burden. A feeling I know all too well. For him, it has caused him to stop outwardly expressing his thoughts and feelings. I always believed him to be simply a gifted person who never faced a day of hardship. How wrong I was. Everyone has struggles that go unseen by the world. I was so absorbed with my own problems, I failed to see his. I wish to talk with him more and to see what lies beneath those calm waters and to hear him speak freely and openly. And perhaps I, too, will be able to bare my soul to him and share the demons that have plagued me all these years. Sounds like a pretty cool goal to have.
That was pretty well written, too.
Yeah. Well, she's just playing at being a scholar.
Get some Sasuke and Sakura vibes over here.
Right?
a quiet guy that does awesome and just doesn't really talk or anything. And the girl's like, oh, when will he see me? I hope I can get closer to him. That was well written, though.
It was, yeah. And I think
canonical that Link can talk.
Mm-hmm.
He just chooses not to, like for literal decades at a time, and then says a couple sentences.
So here's what I'm thinking, you know, like maybe if Link was more talkative, maybe they would have saved Hyrule.
Well, we know that his voice box works because there's constant ha ha. So you know he has a voice. It's a decent one.
I know it's just a joke because we blamed Kim Rome for everything. I figured maybe we would just point out some problems that other characters also had. Honestly, if Link had talked more, I wonder how his relationship with Rivali would have been different. You know,
well, they would have talked more. At the very least. I don't know about good or bad.
Statement from the guy who loves Rivali.
He's a seer with this kind of prophesying.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I honestly think Rivali probably wouldn't have admitted it or showed it at all, but I think deep down, knowing Link acknowledged him, he would have had one of those like internal like moments.
I mean, honestly, if Rivali had just done Rivali's Gale and Link had literally just said, "How did you learn how to do that?" It would have made Rivali's day.
It would have literally, like, he would have been so happy.
I feel like you don't even need words for that. It's when he did it and looked down at Link, he could have been like, huh? Because he knows how to go, huh? And so showing that shock and surprise, probably be like, yeah, I impressed him. But Link just probably stood there because in this version, he's not like, there's been other games where Link has been, you know, more childish and more like, like jumping around and stuff. And this one, he's so stoic.
Yeah.
Super stoic.
Everything gets the poker face.
Stoic master.
And
even when he's remembering dormant memories from 100 years ago, he barely goes, huh.
It's true. All right. Page 6. Father scolded me again today. He told me I am to have nothing more to do with researching ancient technology. He insisted that I focus instead on training that will help me awaken my sealing magic. I was so frustrated and ashamed I could not even speak. I've been training since I was a child, and yet... And then, you know, a little ellipsis there. Mother passed the year before my training was to begin. In losing her, I lost not just a mother, but a teacher. It echoes entirely what King Rome said. Mother used to smile and tell me, Zelda, my love, all will be well in the end. You can do anything. But she was wrong. No matter how I try or how much time passes, the sealing power that is my birthright evades me. Tomorrow I journey with Link to the Spring of Power to train, but this too will end in failure. Such is my curse.
Oh, geez.
Yikes.
Dang.
So she's
there's that mental block already.
Yeah, she's feeling pretty defeated. I mean, this is like, I mean, remember, this is the page that starts out with my father scolded me. So, you know, right after she's finally starting to connect with Link some more and all this, things were going well, and then all of a sudden the Rome scolding happens and it just turns everything back to doom and gloom. So I think it just lines right up with what we were saying before. You know? But yeah, mental block for sure. She's out of it. That, and she thinks, I mean, not that she's wrong, but she's like, this whole sealing magic is my birthright and it evades me. It's kind of assumptive, like, oh yeah, like she's taking it for granted almost. At the same time, she can't get it to work. It's like there might be a correlation there a little bit. Page 7. I had a dream last night. In a place consumed by darkness, a lone woman gazed at me, haloed by blinding light. I sensed she was not of this world. I don't know if she was a fairy or a goddess, but she was beautiful. Her lips spoke urgently, but her voice did not reach me. Would I have heard her if my power was awoken? Or was my dream simply a manifestation of my fears? I am sure I will know the answer soon, whether I wish to or not. So that's, yeah. So she has like basically a vision of what most people would think would be Hylia. now that we have some Tears of the Kingdom stuff, there's like, I don't want to spoil too much, but I will say that there have been some images out there that people have thought maybe line up with this figure that she's talking about. A lone woman haloed by blinding light. So maybe we'll get more information, but who knows? And it could be somebody completely different also. So that's part of the thing of like nobody actually knows. It's just theories at this point.
Could have been her mom.
Could have been her mom. Her mom could have been haloed by blinding light. Also a possibility.
It's Lolia.
Her name's Hilda, bro.
It's Lolia from Low Rule.
Hilda would have been... Hilda was the Lorulian princess, right? So yeah, Lolia would have been Hylia's opposite, I guess. But there wasn't a Hylia back then when that game came out. So that was never explored.
Hey, Zelda or Nintendo can just pop whatever they want into canon when they want, so Lolia, why not?
Put it in the canon. Just do it. All right, and the final page, page 8. I turned 17 today. That means this is the day I will finally be allowed to train at the Spring of Wisdom. When Link arrives, we will set out for Mount Lanayru. The other champions will accompany us there. I have not seen my father since he last scolded me. Things are too strained now. I will meet with him when I return. All right. Actually, I've had a horrible feeling ever since that weird dream. No one would believe a failure of a princess, but... ... Right. Right now, for no particular reason, I am filled with a strange and terrible certainty that something awful is about to happen.
She ain't wrong.
She ain't wrong. She got them prophecy thoughts, man.
Both her and her dad were writing in their journal/diary on the same day.
Yes, they were. It's funny because her dad has like 7 pages and they span from when Zelda was, born. And Zelda has 8 pages that span just basically through the memories that we've watched. So, hold up. Her being 16 to 17. What's up?
Hold up. Continuity issues. Hold up.
Oh, whoa.
So, hold up. They were writing in their journals.
Yep.
On the same day. The same day that the attack of Calamity Ganon happened.
Yeah.
The same day that she walked all the way to Mount Lanayru.
Mm-hmm.
By the time they were coming off of that mountain peak, that was sunset. So, unless she wrote in that diary at the bright early crack of dawn at 6 a.m, how in the heck did that diary get placed back in her room?
I think that's exactly what happened. I think she started that day writing in her diary, and then they went on a giant journey on foot that couldn't have possibly taken place in a day, but somehow did.
Rivali flew her there. It's fine.
Rivali was absent.
Go, Rivali!
Rivali didn't show up until the end of the day. Remember, he was like, "I'm out. I don't got time for that, but maybe I'll show up at the end of the day." And that's what he did.
He sent one of his bros to give her a ride on over there real quick.
Maybe she rode a Guardian.
She's got her own motorcycle. Yo!
Hey, yo! We actually have no explanation for that. It's not important, or else they would have explained it for sure.
I think it's just a plot hole.
Yeah, well, it's like one of those cartoon show impossibilities that you're not really supposed to think of. I think it'll be fine. So the King's ones that we read, that would be found in the library. The King Study's hidden there. Princess Zelda's room, if you're following the main path, you have to veer off right before going to the final boss to get to it. It's like up in a tower, basically. It's got flying guardians around it. You could Rivali scale and climb up to it, or find another path. But if you did the whole road that goes all around Hyrule Castle, you would get to the final boss before you'd actually get to that tower. So you just keep going straight past it, and you'll find it. It's also where the memory was. We talked about that. So I think with those, those are the only major like things in the castle that I want to talk about, because we've already gone over the dungeon and stuff like that. But we can talk about the actual final battle here now. So I believe it's called the Sanctum, which to me evokes thoughts of like this is where religious ceremonies would take place normally. Highest part of the castle, that kind of thing. I don't, because it's not the throne room. I think the throne room is below it. And so, of course, you would think that this would be a place that Zelda may have also come to pray during the day if she was not out at one of the springs. But in this case, this is being used as a shrine of resurrection, kind of, maybe, sort of. But not for any dead person, but there is like a giant cocoon of malicey goodness hanging from the ceiling. It actually kind of has a heartbeat as you're approaching it. And when you get in there, I believe we start off by hearing something about Zelda and how, like, basically we're just in time. Like, she can't hold him back anymore. Like, this is it.
Yeah, and it starts with that link, link, link kind of thing where it gets louder.
Yeah. And so this big, nasty malice ball falls from the ceiling, and from it hatches a Calamity Ganon, who is.
But if you hadn't beaten all the divine beasts, you got a couple boss fights before that happens right there, like possibly 2 or something.
Yeah. Do you want to speak on that, or how are you? What are you?
It's just the exact same boss fight with the exact same mechanics as you would fight in the Divine Beast. However, I particularly, because I had to fight the Fire and Thunderblight. Thunderblight was actually easier in this room than it is in the room inside of the Divine Beast.
I believe that. 100%. I believe that.
That was noticed. Yeah. I don't know if people realize. They might just want to go right here.
100%.
Because you don't have to worry about those spikes, those electric conduits being dropped anywhere aside from just the floor you're on. So you don't have to, oh no, they're all up there. Or, oh no, they're all down there. Or they're way over there because the room is huge, like that the actual boss fight. Pretty small, compact little circle, and they're all right there. You're just like, oh, boing, grab one.
Yeah.
It's basically free.
Yeah. Thunderblight would for sure be easier to do in this room. That's cool. Yeah, so as the mechanic goes, if you do all 4 Divine Beasts, before Calamity Ganon gets a chance to even, like, properly stand up, you get this epic cup scene. Yeah, there you go. Cut scene.
It's a nice cup scene right there.
Where it goes to the 4 different champions, all on their Divine Beasts in spirit form. Each one has a bit to say. I don't have the quotes up, and I don't quite remember them all. So I know some of the more standout ones to me were like Rivali basically saying, Link, okay, it's your turn to go get him. So I guess he's ready to play the sidekick.
I'm pretty sure I remember Mifa saying, this is our last chance. Or like, this is our chance to defeat Ganon.
Yeah. Urbosa has some cool bit about getting revenge. And she's like super ready for this. And Daruk is, he's always super encouraging. He probably just gives like a hoorah brother kind of deal. Not that I remember. Like I said, I'm just like, I remember the vibe. That's about it.
You'd be like, oh, that's the guy. He's not a giant dog monster like I was worried about.
And so these divine beasts with their laser targeting all do an orbital strike. It's like this blue laser rain that comes down and just wrecks Calamity Ganon.
It's really weird because they come in from like either the 4 cardinal directions or the 4 in between cardinal directions, but then the laser ends up going down through the part that they fell through when Ganon comes down. So it's like they all converged right at that exact point, and then somehow them all hitting each other went down.
Yeah, exactly. It's weird. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. from a physics standpoint. I don't. It's confusing. They're divine beasts. They do divine things. I don't know.
I suppose so.
And so we get into this fight. So if you had all 4, it'll take about half of his health away. If you're missing any, I imagine that cutscene happens before the bosses.
The cutscene happens. It only shows the champions talking that you actually saved. So they literally didn't show Rudania or Urbosa for me at all.
Right.
Or not Rudania, but the guy's name.
Daruk, yeah.
And then it just shows 2 beams coming in from 2 directions. I think it's actually whichever ones you defeated, because mine came in from the opposite, and that would be where they actually were on the map. So I'd assume if you only beat like Death Mountain and the bird, then it would come in like this.
Right.
And then the same cutscene happens. He just doesn't lose as much health. I think it was perfectly scaled because he lost about a quarter for me.
Gotcha. Yeah. And then we can get into this this fancy fight. Calamity Ganon kind of reminds me of the LD robots, not the little ones, but the like the Lanayru Desert pirate dude, like Skirvo, you know. Just the big red beard, man. I don't even think Skirvo had a beard, but Calamity Ganon has a very piratey beard, and he's like a magma spider. It's just pretty cool like design on the boss. He's got some, all of his moves are kind of geared towards fundamental combat skills that you should have from playing the game at this point. So, there's a lot of he'll give you a lot of chances for flurry rush. He'll shoot lasers at you that you can deflect, like their guardian lasers. I mean, one of the more unique things he does is he kind of sets the room on fire for a little bit, and you got to walk away from him for a second and then come back in. So nothing too crazy. Most people find this boss fight to be a very underwhelming final boss fight, especially when compared to other Zelda titles. Mainly because everything kind of plays to that it's just testing skills that you've done a million times at this point. So, I mean, I definitely did struggle a little bit in this fight, but it's really not anything to write home about,
For me, I kept trying to play the game. Stop moving! Get on the dang Calamity Ganon.
Yeah.
So here's a question.
Going on the walls.
In the second phase, Mayo, when he goes into the red, when he his whole body becomes red and he climbs on the walls, he doesn't get hit by arrows, does he?
He'll shield pretty good.
So how do you keep dealing damage to him so he doesn't regenerate health, or does he just not regen health in that phase when he's like that?
He does.
Otherwise, I'd think that would be impossible because you can't deal damage to him with shooting arrows.
I did a couple parries, and the family secret technique pretty much did a good job.
Oh, to just Urbosa's Fury him off the wall. You can do that.
Oh. Didn't happen.
Right. Okay. Any other particular challenges with this guy, or any other final thoughts on him? I mean, you'd think he'd be like the centerpiece of this, or the showpiece of this episode, but he's kind of lame.
Yeah.
Reflect all
Pirate Ganon.
Right. Okay. So eventually we do all the fancy fighting, all the flurry attacks, all the arrows, all the what have you, deflecting his beams until he goes down. But he doesn't truly go down. He kind of starts. I think the way it's described is Zelda says something along the lines of he's given up on resurrection, and he's transforming into his true bestial form or something like that, right? So more
he's just basically letting his animosity control him.
Yeah. So he's becoming Dark Beast Ganon. Is that what it's called in this one? Oh no. Now I gotta look it up.
Yeah, it's Dark Beast Ganon.
Even more underwhelming fight compared to the last underwhelming fight we had.
Yeah, but at least it's epic. Like this fight, the fight against Dark Beast Ganon. What's cool about it is that it puts you out into an emptied Hyrule field. So this big empty place that used to like have guardians every once in a while that would just find you from a mile away. It has now been pretty much cleared out for the sake of this fight. They give you whatever your main horse is at the time, whichever one you have out or registered or most previously used.
I think they just gave me a random one because I didn't have any. I don't know if I rode a horse in this. I don't usually do that.
I think the game somehow demands that you have a horse for this fight because it's designed to be on a horse.
Yeah, no, it is. It dropped a random 3 stamina horse for me. I was like, oh, hey, boy.
Nice. First time I played, I definitely did this on Epona. This time I did it on error. Pretty good.
No.
I debated whether or not I should call in the Divine Beast motorcycle for this, but I chose not to. I just rode error instead. And you're fighting a giant pig beast version of Ganon, kind of more reminiscent of the Twilight Princess Ganon than any other, because it's on all 4s. It's massive. 10 stories high kind of thing, like just a huge, it's like Shadow of the Colossus type fight. And Zelda provides you with a bow, like a very fancy light bow that I don't remember the name of in this moment.
Light bow.
Is it really just called the light bow?
Don't know.
It's the bow of light. Get it straight.
There you go.
So much different.
It has 100 damage. Not that that's really a concern. And you are tasked with riding around and essentially waiting for this guy to have some weak spots revealed on him. I think that's part of Zelda's role in this, is revealing the weak spots for you to run on and shoot, because they do glow like with yellow triangular symbols that, just kind of goes along with the theme. So you take this bow of light. Wow. You take this bow of light,
nice bow of light.
You ride around, you knock all these weak spots until you're pretty much out of weak spots to hit, and then he'll do this thing where the Dark Beast Ganon will shoot out some flames to create an updraft for you, at which point you jump off your horse, fly up in the air, and shoot the last weak spot that's pretty much on his forehead. I think he even has like an eyeball that opens up, and you have to shoot the eyeball.
Yeah, it's a huge eyeball, and it's like upper back shoulder area.
Yeah.
You also just can't hit it unless you do go up in the air, because I tried to shoot it from the horse for like 2 minutes straight, and I was like, why? I mean, I'm hitting it, but... Yeah. And then I saw the updraft, and I was like, oh, it wants a photo finish. Okay.
Need the epic.
Yeah. So yeah. Do the super epic flying, shoot him in the forehead kind of deal. Get rid of that malice eyeball, and then the Dark Beast Ganon will like start roaring, screaming, and it actually starts moving as if it's going to try to escape, like it's trying to run away or like disappear into the sky or something. Like the malice kind of unforms, and then Zelda shows up and puts a hand up in the air that has the Triforce symbol on it, and like totally point of unities the malice into like just kind of compresses it into nothing, just evaporates the whole thing,
holds him down.
Yeah, so she does the final blow of the fight. Really epic scene. I think that the best part about this fight is the visuals, both with the like how it's introduced, how it's played out, how it's finished. Everything is just cinematic and huge. But not particularly challenging, I will say. Kind of like what you guys were saying. It's another underwhelming part of an underwhelming finale.
Gameplay wise.
Yeah. So we've won the day. Yeah.
And then Zelda wants to know one thing at the very end, right before it goes to credits. She says, Link, do you really remember me?
Yeah. So,
and he don't say nothing.
He don't say nothing. Have either of you guys seen the final, like the post-credit scene?
Is that the one where the sages, or not the sages, the champions? I don't know why I called them sages. Is it the one where they're like floating?
I don't remember the sages in it, but maybe.
Not
Wait.
Champions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. So the post-credit scene in this game is only unlocked if you actually finished all 120 shrines and defeated the 4 divine beasts.
Oh, nope.
Yeah. So I've gotten this ending every time I've played the game, or at least every time I finished the game, I should say. I just need to refresh myself on what actually happens in it, because what I can say is that it's another scene with Link and Zelda. And there's more dialogue between the two of them. And at the end, they speak of like hope for being able to rebuild and create a new future for Hyrule. And they walk through a field that is entirely coated with Silent Princess flowers. It's actually really a really cool scene. It's very like the landscape is gorgeous. Like they're just out in Hyrule Field with all these flowers. Yeah, so let me just look it up to make sure I'm not missing like the critical details here.
Hiding these cutscenes behind content barriers.
It's 3 minutes and 17 seconds. You guys want to just watch it real quick?
Sure.
I can just like probably throw it up in the thing here. King Rome. Yeah, there they all are. You were right. The champions are all there.
Yeah, but this is, I think, just a normal one.
I didn't see this.
No, it's not. It's actually the final one. This is the post credits. So the whole like, do you remember me thing? See all the malice bits, all those little red flakes are now Silent Princess petals. Okay, and then we reopen on the Field of Hyrule.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing this though.
So we'll make our way to Zora's Domain. Divine Beast Faruda looks like it stopped working. What's that about? Let's investigate the situation. Mipha's father. I'm just reading it just in case. I believe he would like to hear more about her. The least we can do is visit him and offer him some closure. Although Ganon is gone for now, there's still so much more for us to do. And so many painful memories that we must bear. I believe in my heart that if all of us work together, we can restore Hyrule to its former glory. Perhaps even beyond. But it all must start with us. So this is almost like Wind Waker, like, we're going to have a new Hyrule. And she says, let's be off. So now they're going to walk away together. And it's going to show you the field of silent princesses, I'm pretty sure. That's how it ends. I can no longer hear the voice inside the sword. I suppose it would make sense if my power had dwindled over the past 100 years. I'm surprised to admit it, but I can accept that. Oh, the flowers.
Oh, there they are.
Yeah. They really play it up like there are no flowers in the first half of that cutscene. And then at the end, they're like, oh, by the way, just to the right of them is every silent princess the game ever had. All right, we don't need to watch these kids with the waffles now. Let's get out of here. So that's the final cutscene. If you went through all of the game, aside from like Koroks, they don't care about that. Yeah. So good stuff. I mean, this is the end. Any major final thoughts of the game, or anything that you feel like we missed that we definitely should have like had in this 18 episode run?
Lon Lon Ranch.
Solid. I think we actually did talk about that though.
Yeah, we skipped on it a little bit.
Skimped on it. It's in the game. Look it up.
We covered stuff I didn't even know was in the game. Like, I don't know what else there is, man. Unless you wanted me to talk about some glitches and stuff.
Have we talked about the breach of demise at all? There's a spot in the game leading right up to the castle, called the Breach of Demise, and it's a huge, just like scar through Hyrule Field.
Oh yeah, that's where the music changes when you go inside, and the track is amazing.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool reference to like Skyward Sword type stuff. I don't know if it points at the Forgotten Temple or not, but it calls back to the original story of Skyward Sword, which was our second season, about how Demise like came up from the depths of the earth to like attack the people with his demon horde. Also in this game, I think it talks about how Calamity Ganon came up from below the castle as well. So there's just some signaling for that whole deal, for like something's going on underneath the castle, which from the very first trailer of Tears, we've actually seen some of that stuff going on too. So just we're gonna learn more about the under castle lore. But it's good stuff. Cam, where are you taking us? Is it
Look at my internet.
Fixing your internet?
Trying to.
Oh, all right. Cool. I just had one other thing that I wanted to kind of talk about, but I want to dwell on it too long. But I had this thought just about like how this game deals with legacy, I guess, because I feel like there's a lot of like succession happening that you don't always think about when you're playing the game, because it's like very much two eras of things going on. So, I mean, I think the most direct reference to it is when you see Daruk all happy that Yunobo's still alive and that the Gorons are still going as a race. But there's something like that happening in every place. I mean, I think that one of the cool things about the game is just how it handles like how the generation of the past defines the next in line. So like if you just go through the different champions and their respective, new champion of the day, you'll see, Daruk was like, that father character, right? And Yunobo, I feel like it's probably the hardest sell on this topic, honestly. So I just want to start with him to get him out of the way, because he's kind of a coward, but he does get confidence from seeing Daruk one last time. I think part of the message there is just about Daruk being that father figure, and that losing him was actually detrimental to his people. I think that just the whole fatherdom thing with Daruk is pretty strong. I mean, even when the cutscene where Zelda's trying to recruit him, and he's like, "Oh, you should have a guard with you at all times," and she's like, "You sound like my dad." I'm like, "It's because Daruk's a dad." and a lot about being a dad is about that protection, is about being protective, and about like you always want to make sure that your family is safe and cared for. And it kind of just, I think it just plays into like why Yunobo's the way that he is, right? Because he lost that. And I think in a different note, if we go over to like Urbosa, I think Urbosa as that mother figure was always providing a safe space. That was like kind of like the theme of her character. Like Zelda would go into Gerudo City to get away from it all. She was always like, she defended Zelda out in the desert, And she was known for being like really caring and really compassionate, but at the same time very strong and very protective. And I think that it's funny because like whereas she kind of had this character of a mom, Riju is what she kind of leaves in her legacy. Like Riju, I don't know that the game ever specifically says that they're related. I don't know if it goes through like if it was a grandparent situation or anything. I don't remember seeing that detail anywhere. But Riju is now this like teen empress, right? But oddly enough, when you go out and you fight Divine Beast Naburis, what she does is provide a safe space for you. Like in that fight, as you're going through the sandstorm, like she creates a bubble of influence and like becomes that space, which I think is just really cool. It's like this is what she learned. This is what Urbosa kind of brought to the culture, and like you can see how it kind of kept going in lineage. Rivali is probably one of the most influential because the entire Rito culture, like if you're not a bard, I'll say, then you're probably a soldier. And that's kind of directly from him. Like he was this legendary warrior who the Rito still look up to this day. And as they all train, they are all kind of looking at him as like the bar that's been set. Like they're all trying to get there. So now you have Tiba, who has been training his whole life to try to be like Rivali, and his son Tulin, who also is just super excited to go to the flight range and learn and try to be like Rivali. Like they all want to take up that mantle of being a great warrior and being this like, you know, champion of their people. So just like he kind of set the culture of the Rito as well. And then you have Mifa, who's a little bit more of a specific case, but I mean, we've talked about Mifa as like being this spousal relationship to Link, right? Like they were possibly engaged, but we don't know the whole detail of that. But what she leaves behind isn't necessarily like a replacement for that, you know? But Sidon is very much like he's looking for help for his people. And when he meets you, you guys kind of immediately click, you know, and you become partners in a way. Like he becomes like your best friend immediately. It's like, did we just become best friends? Yup. Like, are we going to go fight this elephant? Yup. And I think it just comes across like it's like this really caring, just bromance in a way, you know. It kind of approaches that way of being like, you know what, not every, like it's not, I don't know, like I'm trying to say like it's almost comparing the two kinds of relationships. Like it's kind of comparing like, okay, like here's like what Mifa was and here's what Sidon is, and in theory they're kind of coming from the same place. Like they really care about you and they like you and, you know, this stuff, but like in one sense it's not a spousal thing, it's just a friendship thing, you know. Which is funny because it kind of also highlights how you should be friends with your spouse as well. Like but that's me just getting a little like thinking a little too deep into it, but very cool stuff. There's actually another like thing that goes along with this, and that's that Link and Zelda set their own legacies. Because with Link, I feel like the Link that we knew from 100 years ago before he died and came back, he was like, if I had to describe him, he was Link the Appointed Knight, right? Like everything he did, he was like, you know what? Like I was tasked with this. Like people told me like, this was my spot. This was my position. He didn't go through any of the shrines. He didn't do any of the growth that he normally would have to. In fact, they kind of went out of their way to say he was already the hero when he was 4 years old. You know, he was defeating grown men in combat. Like he didn't have to grow at all. He just was. which is completely counter to what The Legend of Zelda has always been about. There's always been character growth. Like they've always made a point to say that Link has to grow to become the hero. And I think when Link comes back after the resurrection, like he knows what his target is, and he knows that it was himself from 100 years ago, and he knows that he's not there and he needs to grow. And it's almost like, whereas before he was Link the appointed knight, like, oh, this is just my duty. Now he becomes Link the hero. Like, he becomes someone who's actually out to do it, not because it's his duty, but because he genuinely cares enough to come out and help on his own. There's no one left to tell him what to do, you know? Like, seriously, I mean, other than the fact that Zelda's trapped in the castle, I mean, that's, you know, it'd be kind of a jerk move to wake up and be like, yeah, I don't really care. But it's a whole different perspective on what his goal is, and an entirely different set of motivations, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of similar with Zelda, except for Zelda, it was like she was the princess, right? Like, she was the researcher. She really wanted to do everything like that she had to do until it all came crashing down around her, and she wasn't able to. Like, only when things got really desperate was she able to become like Zelda, the vessel of Hylia, right? Like, that didn't happen until all of this went down. And I mean, it's a little bit different. I mean, she's been the only one of these 6 characters that have been constantly active since the Calamity. So saying that she set her own legacy might be a little bit off, because she kind of didn't choose all that happened, but she did take over her path, you know, when the Calamity struck. Like, we saw her start to like delegate to the champions. She came up with a plan. She knew what she wanted to do. She went after it. It was a miserable tragedy. And then after Link went to the shrine, once again, she took charge, and she went to the castle, and she decided, you know what? No, like, this is what I need to do now. And, you know, like, I can do this. And she took that lead. So, it's kind of cool. I mean, I think that the contrast that they show, and it just shows the effects that you can have. Like, these champions all created, like, the starting points for the future champions to kind of uphold. They all like provided something for their people that now, like, the future champions might not know it, but they're actually pretty, like, strongly influenced by their elders, kind of like by the people who have passed before them. So I don't know. I just thought that theme of legacy was really cool. Like, just a really cool thing to talk about, like, really cool thing that I was seeing as I was going through. And I think it kind of wraps, like, the whole idea of this game, aside from, you know, the amazing gameplay and cool adventures. I think that there was a very strong theme of that, and I appreciate that. Like, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I never really thought of it like that, but there's definitely some clear examples, like with Urbosa being the mother, and, you know, Riju having that bubble of protection, and Daruk and Yonobo, and how that was kind of like he's protecting as how Daruk was, basically. He's encompassing. And so, yeah, I never really thought about that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Rivali lifts you up.
I mean, technically, yes.
He lifts his people up. All right, we'll leave it there.
For sure.
I wouldn't say he lifted Link up.
No, he and Link butted heads. Well, Rivali butted his head against Link for some reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's it, guys. That's Breath of the Wild.
He took a breath, and it was over.
It was a long breath, my guy. we spent 36 weeks on this game. the better part of a year, you know. And there it is. Our watch is ended. I guess, I mean, as we approach the end of this episode, some things to share, I guess. From now moving forward, at least, for our next game, our next season, which should be no surprise at this point, is going to be Tears of the Kingdom. We are going to be going back to an audio only podcast. So this is just kind of a message for the audience here, but yeah, we just for the sake of time and stress and the amount that goes into making a vodcast versus a podcast, it just makes a lot more sense for us to switch back to pod for this. We don't want to be spoiling the visuals of things as much for this one. At this point, everyone's kind of been playing Breath of the Wild in anticipation for Tears of the Kingdom, and honestly, we're not worried about spoiling this game. But we do want to be able to discuss how we're going to go through our next one without doing too much extra work. So one other thing, we're not going to be doing a standard chapter by chapter format. I know we go chapter by chapter through the game. We state that pretty much at the start of every episode. For this one, we do not go chapter by chapter through the game. We are going to adventure on our own path, and we're going to come together regularly to discuss what we've seen, some of the crazier things we found, which means that we might end up spoiling some things in the game for each other. I have given Anthony and Cameron exclusive rights to spoil the next game for me as they play it. So that's kind of what it's going to sound like. There's going to be a cacophony of new adventures and explorations that we've all come across on our own time. But
I think our best segment is going to be, whoa, look what I made.
Yeah, right. So yeah, our next episode will be our season break. I think we're going to talk about some, any kind of memories we have of previous games being released and kind of how releases used to look in the past. And talk, we'll kind of do a review of our Tears of the Kingdom predictions. Because at that point we'll be recording probably the week of the release. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. But until then, this has been A for No, B for Yes, and we will catch you on the next episode.
Did you get all that? We need to know.